Hey everybody, Ms. Dietrich here. We're taking a look at number 12. And I think this question is really challenging because it's almost better if you know a little bit about writing equations before you actually tackle something like this. But we'll pick it apart and hopefully understand it. Zach scored 5 more means add 5, then 3 times the number of points Alex scored. Now if we just just for now, I'm just going to use A to represent Alex just so we can understand the question. So 3 times the number of points Alex scored, and then 5 more than that. So if we did 3 times Alex, and then we added 5 to that, then that, whatever that value is, that would equal Zach. Now that's an equation, and that would give us Zach. But they want to know, we would need to figure out if Zach scored a certain number of points. So let's say he scored, 12 points, just as a hypothetical. Then we have to figure out what would we do to this expression to get how many points Alex scored. So in other words, how do we get this value right here if Zach scored 12? Now keep in mind that this is going to be more than what Alex scored, right? Because Zach is triple, right? 3 times the number of Alex plus 5. So we need to think about inverse operations here and to actually figure out for Alex. So if we think about what's the opposite of this? Well, the opposite of that is to subtract 5. What's the opposite of multiply by 3? Wouldn't that be to divide by 3? So the things that we want to look for in our expression is we want to look for a situation where we're dividing by 3 and we're subtracting by 5. So let's look at some of the choices here that actually offer that. Because A offers that. Here's the subtract. Take Zach, subtract 5 from it, and then divide by 3. This is a contender. Now let's see if we can reject the other choices. This one's saying we have 5 points and we're going to subtract Zach. Now why would we subtract Zach? Because Zach, that doesn't make any sense. And the divide by 3 part's right, but this subtracting Zach from 5 just doesn't make any sense. So that's probably not a contender. And here, if we take Zach and add 5 to it, then that's not going to be consistent with this idea of inverse. So this one's off for that reason. And then this idea of dividing by 5, that doesn't match what we came up with over here, which was divide by 3. So just looking at this bottom piece alone should help us to eliminate that. Now, for those of you who do better plugging in hypothetical values, you could plug in a hypothetical value. It'd be a little tricky because it would be hard to make the numbers compatible. But let's say you plugged in a hypothetical value of 20 for Zach. So if we did 3a plus 5 equals 20 for Zach, if we know what he got, then the opposite, if we're actually going to solve this, we would subtract 5 from this, and we would subtract 5 from this. We'd get, this would cancel out. Here we'd get 15. 20 minus 5 is 15. We'd bring down the 3a. We would divide by 3. This would cancel out. We'd get the a, and then for Alex we'd get 5. Now we just plugged in, we divided by 3, we did the subtract 5. So we did the inverse operations when we solved for the equation. So what we'd want to do is we'd want to go back in and plug in our hypothetical value for Alex of being 5 points and see if that gives us our hypothetical value of Zach's 20 points if this is true. So go back and ask yourself, is this number, which is 20, is that 3 times 5 plus 5? And if it is, then you're going to say that this expression actually fits, and you're going to accept instead of reject this idea of inverse operations. All right, hopefully you found this video helpful.